Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thrive, Not Just Survive. I am your host, Nasira Jamal, and I am so thrilled today to have a very special guest on the show. So I hope you guys have been utilizing some of the tools and the different guests that have been sharing. But today we're going to specifically talk about being perfectly imperfect. And what does that mean? So, as we've been in COVID mode and in quarantine, I call it a retreat, but we are up to now the 6 week mark. I want to talk to someone who really has inspired me. I'll tell you why, because I have followed her on Facebook. I know her through drama class that my son took or takes right now on hold, but with her, and she's a brilliant teacher. But I wanted to talk to her because I've been following her on Facebook and I see her living this very authentic life of who she is and makes it fun in whatever capacity while at home. And I want to bring her on. Her name is Chandra Pepper, and I'm going to introduce you to her. You're going to absolutely love her. Let's bring her on and get this conversation started. Hello, Chandra. It's so nice to have you here. My son misses you dearly. He loves drama, but I want to give you the floor to just kind of tell us who you are, where you've come from in terms of how you've landed the things that you're doing now. And it seems like you're following a purpose, a soul purpose. Yeah. So I want us to kind of give our audience your background.
It's very long and varied. I started out, wanting to be a famous actor. Here I am in Alliston, and I love theater, and I love kids is another thing, and I used to work a lot with just children, and then my career just sort of has gone this route of somehow I'm always mixing drama, theater with teaching, and then that would be like in my 20s, 30s, and I would still perform and direct here and there, but there's always been this running thread of coming back to empowering through theater and growing and healing through theater, and so now I have this wonderful eclectic career of teaching, writing, directing, performing, and healing through. I now have the slightly peppered branch of the Chandra Pepper umbrella, and it's where I give meditation, mindfulness classes, empowerment courses, but then I also will do like adult improv and scene studies and stuff, and just I love watching people break free. I love watching people recognize who they are at a soul level, and I love giving people the space to love themselves. I'm a big hippie at heart, so I believe that, and laughter is the key to love. And so I just kind of, those two things are, I've learned that that's my mission, is to spread love and laughter and get everyone loving and laughing, and maybe this world will be better.
Yep.
And people won't be jerks.
And I guess, you know what, this whole love and laughter has a frequency to it, right? So if you can allow or give the people the space to get there, it raises their vibration, which means that what they're attracting into their life is at a different frequency. And this is where things begin to transform. 100%. You and I have the same kind of language as we go through this journey, right? So I want to get your perspective on, I think there is a silver lining to COVID-19 and us being quarantined or on retreat. Tell me your perspective. How are you looking at it?
When it first happened, I, of course, panicked. I mean, let's be honest, I completely panicked. I have no work coming in, kids at home, single mom. I panicked. And then I went, okay, well, there's nothing I can do about it. And so what can I do? And I have discovered, I find the silver lining is this is a time we can all, and you call it a retreat, that we can all do a little bit of inner work and really take this time to think about what we really want in life, who we really are in life, and like when we come out of this, what's important to us now. It isn't the car, it isn't the bank account, it's the connections that you have and the connections you make. I've made I've made some wonderful, wonderful connections during this time that I wouldn't have if I was, because I would be running around like a chicken with my head cut off at this time of year in my theater world. Like this is usually crazy time, and I've had the opportunity and to meet wonderful and lovely people who will be with me for the rest of my life that I might not have had.
Right. And that's the silver lining. Those are the blessings we all need to kind of search for in terms of what this has brought out, right? So we were able to connect at a different level. We were able to do this full stop. You know, the universe went on pause, but we were able to pause and reflect, which really we would never have been given that opportunity because of the rat race we were all, you know, chasing, right? Like that's just the way life was. So I think it's important to kind of note that that normal life that we kind of think about wasn't working anyways. And so creating a new normal so that after COVID-19, we can actually become more empowered, inspiring, follow a passion, whatever that impact is that we want to have on others in terms of service, and finding that mission, that what is our mission and purpose to be here? Because once you connect to that inner soul, you know, whatever we want to call that authentic self, then we're able to perhaps live a very empowered life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, I know we've talked about this idea of perfection or being perfectly imperfect, because now we're all on social media and we're watching all these feeds of people's, you know, lives and how they're projecting life to be. But can you talk about this idea of imperfect?
I believe perfection is a myth. I don't think there is perfection. When I teach, I just, you know, I'm like, nobody's perfect, and we shouldn't be because we're humans and we're perfectly imperfect, and we have to embrace and love our imperfections. And when this started, and I was looking online, like we all were, you know, sitting on our couches scrolling Facebook for days on end before we figured out our routines and stuff and how we face this new normal. And I'm watching all my friends sewing and baking, and oh, I organized the closet, and I'm like, yeah, so I drank coffee. I meditated. Okay, that's exciting. And I'm like, I had a little moment of, oh my, like, why am I not trying to make myself better during this time? Like, and I thought, I'm not going to change who I am, right? Like, why am I striving for something? So I went inward, and I just went, what can I do in my beautifully imperfect way? I mean, and I recognize that that's what makes them feel better, is baking and organizing and stuff. And sadly, social media, we tend to only show the good stuff. We don't want to show the bad stuff. We don't want to say, I've had a really crappy day, or I'm having a meltdown, or you know, I just burnt everything. And you don't want to have those, you know, the beautiful food pictures. You don't want to have the burnt chicken on the plate because, you know, people might judge you. Well, I'm a big advocate of I don't judge anybody. And so I slowly developed this persona Fred that I write to, and I've been taking crazy weird pictures because I have a ton of costumes and kind of showing the imperfections of this and putting the humor spin on it, and hopefully then people can relax and laugh.
And I guess, you know, when you do that, and I've read about Fred through your Facebook, and, you know, I hope whoever's watching can go and find you on whether it's Facebook or Instagram and read some of your writings, because I think there's so much truth in it for anybody, because you're writing it from a perspective that we can all relate to, because life isn't perfect. And we go through some of these emotions and things that you're going through to talk about it. And so can you tell us a little bit about Fred? Like, I know you just touched on it, but it was intriguing me because I had a completely different idea of who Fred was.
Fred, I remember I was trying to do walks, and I was walking one morning. I went, I got to write this out. I've got to, and I'm a terrible journaler. I mean, I advocate it. I think it's a wonderful tool. It is a wonderful healing tool. I'm terrible at writing things down. And I think it's because I have fibromyalgia. So when I write with my hand, everything cramps up and I just get frustrated. So I just took to the computer and I started writing this isolation journal of what I did the day before, and just ranted and the craziness that happens in my life, like crazy things. And then I one day went, it sounds so formal and boring. So I named him Fred. So then I started writing Dear Fred, and now Fred has become this person. He might be my soulmate. Too bad he's a computer, but he's such a great listener, and he lets me ramble on about anything. And it's just become whatever's in my mind. And sometimes it's just nonsense, and sometimes it's something that happened, or it's just something that's weighing heavily on my mind. And I don't censor it. So I don't censor it. So there might be some naughty words here and there. I don't censor my thoughts. When I first started writing, I said, this is completely honest. I'm not writing for any purpose other than to get thoughts out of my head. And I'm also, I don't edit other than spell check. I don't really go through and edit, because then I know I would change things. Then I know I would second guess what I put down. So I just spit it out. And now people are really enjoying it. I haven't written to him yet, and I know some people are probably wondering where he is today. And this is the silver lining, because I'm doing this. This is giving me ideas of where I could take him once this is over. There is a book idea in my head. There is a one-woman show that I could just see. Of course, I don't know the ending yet, so.
See, it's amazing, because you've had the time to do this, and it kind of was born out of your boredom, right?
Yeah.
Like it was just like you kind of walking around and trying to think whatever. But I think the creativity flows through us, which I believe in the universe. I believe in messages. And I think that creativity comes when we become still. And maybe stillness is through boredom, right? Because that is just still of doing nothing, right?
Yeah.
And then creativity pops into us and things are born out of it. And then it depends how we follow it. But for you, you've become writing a journal on the computer. And so that's another thing I wanted to touch on, because people feel like journaling has to be written by pen and paper. And I think there's so many other ways of putting our thoughts down in a way that works for us, right? Sometimes people, like you said, can't write for whatever reason. It doesn't flow, or based on, just like your situation, fibromyalgia, the pain. But yet the computer is a great way of documenting your thoughts in whichever way they come. So I think that's really key here, because people have asked me, well, I don't really like to journal. I'm not a writer. I don't really take to that, but maybe a computer would be a great way to do that. And even maybe taking pictures of certain things could do the same, right? In terms of getting your thoughts out of what you're thinking about. So I really like that. I like that you touched on it. So tell me, in terms of COVID-19 and you've been journaling, like what other things have you been doing that have helped you to kind of, I don't know, I guess become a little more mindful? And I know you do these practices. How have you managed to bring it into your routine?
I've now developed a routine that I wouldn't have if I was working so much. I take the little dog for a walk in the morning, just around the block, because I don't want to go too far. And I always do, I bring the yoga mat out, and I do my own ballet yoga mix that's good for my body, stretches. And I just do that, and I don't beat myself up if I don't. Some days I can go like mad, and I just try and laugh every day. I try and make sure I laugh every day is something that helps. I do meditation. Sometimes they're very short. Sometimes I can get into a good deep one. Don't ever beat yourself up. That's the big thing. Like we have this expectation and pressure of what meditation looks like, and what exercise looks like, and what a good mother looks like. And I don't bake for my children. They have to learn themselves.
Right.
But I'm cooking more just because I'm home more. Am I becoming a master chef? No, but I'm like, hey, look at me. Right. I remember how to cook.
Yes. And I think that's the other side, right? Is that we're kind of doing things that we wouldn't normally do or get into, but the skill is there, or somewhat, right? We can tap into it. In terms of, I think I really like the fact that you said, you don't sort of fall into like the perfect mother, or the way to exercise, the way to meditate. I think the idea is to allow that to be whatever you resonate with, right? Like whatever feels right to you, because the rituals and the boxed style of thinking really limits us, right, in terms of our creativity.
Yeah, if I'm going to get into the other side of my life, the meditation, mindfulness, and working with energies and messages, which I do my card reading every day. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and we talked about how you have so many different disciplines, I guess. Like you have Wiccan, pagan, energy worker, light worker, whatever you do. And we were talking about that one, and the Reiki and all this, and we're all doing the same thing. We're all working with the same energy, whatever resonates with us. And that's how we get it out. And I believe that, and I believe that in our daily life. There's no right or wrong in how you exercise, how you meditate, how you cook, how you parent. As long as you're being healthy, loving, and not hurting anyone, you have to find your own way. There's no right way and there's no perfect way. And that's what I think this world is stuck on, is this right and perfect way. And it's kind of sad. It's my mission to crash that.
Well, this is it, right? So it's like this this universe has given us a pause for all of us to kind of reflect on this idea of perfect, and sort of coloring within the lines, right?
Mhm.
There shouldn't be that kind of boundary if we were to really evolve as a human race and find that way of living that's empowered.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In terms of I know that you do your own, sort of the empowerment courses and the mindfulness meditation. What kind of tips would you give somebody who's looking to come up with a way to kind of get to this point of saying, you know what, I want to start living that way? What would you say would be sort of a starting point?
Yeah, it's just sit. I have a crazy monkey brain, so it's taken me a long time to learn how to just zone out. And I find I would start with guided meditations so I could listen to that voice, because if there's no voice, my brain starts going, I need to do the laundry, I need to do this, oh, I forgot to do this, oh my gosh, I'm not breathing properly, oh no, now I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm not even meditating, I'm a terrible person, what have I done? So don't do that. And when that happens, and it happens, I've been doing this for years, it still comes up. Just meditate. Also, I find music and moving to music. I like to do movement and meditation classes where the music, you release through music. So just put on a really great song and move the furniture around and just move. It doesn't matter how you move. You don't have to, I don't care what you look like. Just move and just whatever thoughts pop up, write them down afterwards.
That's brilliant. I think that's the thing, movement, right? It actually moves energy within us, and we're shifting things as we do that, right?
And we don't, yeah. And then when you're moving, you don't think.
Right.
I mean, you have the sitting and breathing part is important because it can help slow down. But if you're having trouble with that, just start moving and don't think. Just dance around the house and don't think.
Yeah, and I think that's some of the thing when you're really at home and you're trying to not think, is when you have more things to think about, right? It's like, oh my God, like how can I not think? And then it produces more thought. So if you're moving, if you're cooking, if you're doing anything that is changing that up in terms of just sitting and finding something that you do resonate with, I find, for me anyways, I found that cooking has become something that I've really tapped into. And so not through perfection mode, not through, I've seen a lot of videos and edits, and they have beautiful videos. And for me, it's just like, I'll cook in my kitchen, the video will go on, and whatever happens, happens. But for me, it's really doing the task and being living in the now and following the recipe and whatever it turns out, right? Some things don't turn out. Like I made a dish the other day. It didn't turn out. It was actually not very good. So, I was okay with that, And Adrian, my husband, tasted it and said, well, it doesn't taste like your mom's. So he was kind enough to not totally say this is not worthy, but he just, he
Good man.
Yes, man, do that right. But anyways, I just think that like the idea of movement, or the idea of finding something that will allow you to tap into a creative space, and kind of get off of this negative vibe or negative thought processes, right? Because that just means we're in a vibration that's lower and attracting more of it. So then we can't sort of get out of that spiral.
Yes.
Right.
And it's a hard spiral. I've been down there. I mean, I don't hide my past. I don't hide. Okay, I'm not perfect. So I've been down that spiral. I've lived in very dark places in my life, and I'm not going to say that they're not going to show up again, because reality is life is going to hit you with stuff. But I've learned through my practices and my own personal healing, to just, when they show up, look at them, figure out where's this coming from. And I know I let them happen. I don't panic. I don't push them down, because you can't be depressed, and you can't be anxious, and you can't be panicky. I embrace it, and I'm a highly emotional person. So when they show up, they show up. But I've learned not to be scared of them. And that's a big thing, because a lot of people get stuck in the fear of anxiety and the fear of depression, because, oh my gosh, look, I can't feel like this, and this is terrible, and what's going to happen, and it's so hard to climb out of. But for me, and I can't speak for anyone else, but for me, I've learned to just let it happen, not beat myself up, and know that it will pass. And I just keep doing my few things that make me feel better, and I can shake it off. Like during this, I don't know about you, but I have a few really good days, and then I wake up going, life is over as we know it. What are we going to do? I'm never going to touch anyone again.
Right.
I mean, I seriously will probably run out of this house and touch strangers when we're allowed to. I don't know. I'll probably be in jail. But but when they happen, and they're sad and they're awful, and I may cry for a day, but I know it won't last.
Right.
I'm letting it come out.
Exactly. And I think so I want to touch on two things. One, that you said it's not going to last. So whether we're feeling really good, that feeling will also not last. But if you're feeling really bad, that feeling will also not last, because life is a balance of moving up and down this roller coaster, right? But the thing you touched on, which we talked about before, was, we're social beings, and you, especially as you're out with all of the different things that you do with the kids that you work with drama and the improv and all of the stuff that you do, which involves being close to people, and you're missing that. And we talked about it, right? That is something that's a real, true reality for most of us, right? Because we're social beings. And so right now, I know, like, we're doing a lot of these things about Zoom meetings and Zoom parties, and however we can connect, right? How are you coping with that based on, your world of where you come from? How do you cope?
I have moments, like, even I can get emotional right now thinking, all I want to do, sorry, I just want to hug somebody.
Yes.
I just want to hug someone, and it sucks. But fortunately, I have my daughters here. I can't imagine the people who are isolated, like, alone. Like, even though the Zoom meetings are great, and this is great to talk to you, it's like, wow, a human being. It's what do I do to cope? I sometimes will wrap myself in a blanket. I have animals here. I will hug an animal. That's great. They're starting to not like that so much.
I know they're wondering, why are we home so much? Like, where's their quiet time?
Oh no, I have a needy little whiny dog. He's so happy that I'm home all the time. Yeah, the cat's a little, ticked off, but no, I think I just cope by the journaling and just dressing up in a crazy costume and forcing. I have to force my children to take the pictures. That makes me feel like I'm working still in some weird way. I'm creating. You know what I mean? I'm doing that. I do have a great group of women, an online group that we connect with once a day and check in. So I think it's important, as long as you have someone to check in with.
Yes.
I know some people use me to check in, and I'm 100% there for them. And
This is where community comes in, right? This is where we really understand the importance of our tribes and our communities and about, so I think this COVID-19 has allowed us to investigate that a little more, right? Because before we
yeah,
were so busy that we really didn't have time to connect or figure out who was our tribe or who could we check in with, like when we're not feeling great, right? Because we're not thinking like that. But now we're like, this is great. We've created some groups, like you have your women's group that are checking in. People are calling, like family members that they perhaps haven't talked to in a long time, and
yeah,
just checking in, saying, hello, are you okay, right? So it's allowing us to build on these very, very important relationships, right? Because with our cell phones, and I think we've lost that communication as much as we've connected on a social media level, but the human really connection is gone or was gone.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's nice to now connect, and I was talking to a friend that now you learn more about each other because you actually have to talk to each other.
Yes. And the art of listening, right? Now it's
And
become, we want to listen because that is so, it feeds us in some way. It's not just about us talking to the other person. It's really about listening, right? And there's so much in there. There's so much learning that we can have from each other in our journeys, right? Because really at the end of the day, we are all one. There's no real difference, right? We're all going through this in our own special way, but we're in it together. So I really, you know what, I appreciate what you do on Facebook, because to me, when I see your posts, and as crazy as they are, because you're in the garden as Snow White and you're dressed up and your dogs are there, and it just brings a smile to my face saying, you know what, here's somebody who is showing a different way of coping, right? Because we're all doing it in our own way.
yeah, and that's the thing. We're doing it in our own way, and there's no wrong way.
Right.
You have. It's like when you had a baby and everyone's giving you the advice. And I think the best advice I ever had, and I took it to my whole life, is as long as you can do it, that's the right way. Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's the biggest message, right? Whatever works for you. We don't have to be like somebody else. Not just with COVID-19. I think just in general.
Exactly.
Why are we mimicking other people's lives or other people's ways of thinking when really we have the ability to think our own way? And as long as, like you said, we're not hurting anybody, or we're, going against the law or whatever, we're just sort of being who we are. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's so important. And I know there's so many people in situations where they don't believe in themselves, and they don't have that um, feeling of personal power. And I hope that I I'm always sending out love and energy, and I just, whenever I meditate, I blanket the world, because I know there's so many people who don't have people to talk to, and they feel so alone, and they could be in an abusive relationship, and I don't mean physically even, but verbally and emotionally, or they have that scarring from past life experiences, and I just want people to just know that everybody, it doesn't matter what you do, who you are, where you are so worthy and so deserving of wonderful things. And if my craziness can help you laugh and feel a little bit good, then that's all I want. I don't want to be
mission accomplished, right? It's like mission accomplished.
Yeah. No more famous actor. My goal is to just spread love and laughter, and help people just know that they are loved.
And I think that's the thing that comes across really when I not just talk to you here, but when I've seen you with my son, when those days were happening, and also through your post, is just this authentic way of who you are, bringing that energy, even through a screen, of laughter and love and kindness. And I think you exude that, like it just comes off of you, even when you're in tears, right? So, because we all have those moments when, I'm very emotional, just like you. Like I'll watch a commercial on TV and I'll start bawling my eyes out because it touches my heart for some reason. I don't know. So I want to thank you for taking the time to be here to bring us the perspective and the insight, and letting me know, or letting all of us know about Fred, because I think that we will definitely be following the journey of Fred and you, and I hope everybody will go on and either follow you on Facebook or Instagram. Go to slightlypeppered.com. That's your website, right, where they can find more information.
Yeah, the Fred journals are on my personal Facebook page, but they're public posts, and you can be my friend. I should probably turn them over to Slightly Peppered, but I'm really technically challenged, and I'm terrible. Self-proclaimed terrible at promoting myself, but so yeah. You can find me somewhere.
Yeah, and this is it, right? Like, we will find you. People, I follow you, but with people that are looking now that they've kind of seen this interview, hopefully you'll get a different, another following going on, and really people will relate to the stories that you tell, because they're really just like most of us, the truth. It's just coming out of you in a very humorous way, but there's a lot of nuggets in your stories that we can all learn from. So I want to thank you. I want to send you all the love, and from my son I want to say hello, because he is clearly. So I will show him. I know, and I will show him the video later. But thank you so much. Please, everybody that's watching, share. I just want to thank you again, Chandra, for being here.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you so much. It's wonderful. I'm very happy. What you do is great, and it should be shared.
Thank you. Have a chance to go and follow Chandra, see what she's doing. Hopefully, there's a message in there that will inspire you and bring you on to your own journey. Message me if you have any questions. We're all here in this together, and we're here to support you. So I wish you a wonderful, blessed Wednesday. I'll see you tomorrow with a very special guest that's sharing more insight tomorrow. So I'll see you then. Enjoy your day. I will talk to you tomorrow morning at 10.